Hello everybody, hello my lovely people. This is my next video in the relationship compatibility series of the Soul Urge 6. So earlier in the week I did guidance and development for the Life Path 6, and today I'm doing relationship compatibility, but that's with the Soul Urge 6, another one of your core numbers in numerology. Now, the reason we do that is your life path is more your lessons or your areas of development for this lifetime. So it's not necessarily useful to meet and be in a partnership with someone who is the same life path as you, unless of course you're going into business together and you both have the same objectives, blah blah blah. But in intimate relationships or close relationships, the best number in your core to use is your soul urge. So remember, your core numbers are your life path, which is your lessons and your missions for this lifetime. Then there's your expression number. Some people call it your key number. Some people call it your destiny number. I call it expression number. That's your talents. That's the talents you bring forward in this lifetime to assist your life path. Your soul urge number, which is your ultimate motivation. It's what you really want from life. And who doesn't want to be with someone who wants the same things as them? And then, of course, there's the birthday number, which is like an added mission or lesson that supports your life path. But for relationship compatibility, definitely the soul urge number is your key number. Okay, so I'm going to put in the description box a link to my core numbers video in case you want to work out all your main core numbers. But I'm also going to do a recap on this video on how to work out your soul urge number as well. But I recommend you watching my core numbers video too, so that you can look at all the other numbers that are in your core and put it together in like a puzzle, which will help you move forward with your life. Right, so let's move on. So working out your soul urge number. So your soul urge number is calculated with the vowels of your full birth name. So I'm talking about the full birth name on your birth certificate, including all your middle names, everything that was written on your birth certificate the day your parents registered you. Okay. For example, and this is called the vowels. Okay. The vowels only for the soul urge number. So for example, if somebody had on their birth certificate that their name was Joe Robert Smith, I would work out their soul urge number as follows. So I would work out separately. Always work out your name separately. Very, very important. Otherwise, you might miss out on those master numbers. So Joe, there's an O and an E. They're the two vowels. And the O is a 6 and the E is a 5. Add them together. So Joe is a master number 11. So we leave that for now. Robert, his second name, also has an O and an E, which are the vowels in his name. Surprisingly, 6 plus 5 equals 11. So that's another master number. I didn't do that on purpose, by the way. I just chose a random name, but what else? And then there's Smith, which only has one vowel in it, which equates to the 9. Okay, so when I have all the figures for all the names, I mean, some people could have multiple middle names, but this guy's only got one. Add these numbers together. So we've got 11 and 9 equals 31, which is 31-4. Now, we don't pay as much attention to the steps towards, but, you know, if you want to go into your soul urge even more deeply, then look at these steps as well. But for the purpose of this compatibility video, we're just working with the actual number to the furthest right. So someone could have a soul urge 314 that's to do with their innovative ideas and expression of their ideas. And if you want to go deeper, you can think about that. But again, the 4 is where I'm going to focus today. So the soul urge is where I'm going to focus today, not the 4. What am I like? So compatibility of the soul urge 6 with the 1. Right. So the soul urge 6 is very warm, very caring, very emotional, very passionate person. They're very, very loving, and they have loads of love to give someone. They're very romantic people. They have an innate understanding of what their other partner is feeling, and they're very interested in what their partner is feeling. They desire nothing more than a happy, committed, secure family life. They're prepared to work hard in a relationship. They won't just walk out on a relationship easily. They are prepared to work hard to hold their relationship together if necessary. The 6 needs a partner who also wants a long-term partnership, but they can hold the domestic fort if the other partner needs to have some time out. That's what they're all about, holding the domestic fort, being the person who's very interested in the home, almost being like the person that cooks all the cookies and bakes all the cakes, that's what a soul urge 6 personifies. They must be aware, though, because of their kind, nurturing, passionate, compassionate nature, to not get involved with somebody who needs fixing and then putting all their time into fixing that person and ignoring their own needs, which will make a soul urge 6 burn out. They might even become resentful like the 2 would. The numbers most compatible with the 6 soul urge are the 3, the 4 and the 9. But there are other numbers that could work well with the 6 if you guys understand each other, like I always say. The least compatible is apparently the 1 and the 8. And this is probably because the 1 and the 8 are more independent, they're more task orientated, they're more business minded. Okay. So the soul urge 1's compatibility in relationships, it really depends on how happy they are, really, on how their soul urge or their ultimate motivations are being achieved in other areas of their life. The 1 likes to lead in every way and in love as well, and they like to be the one in control. His or her need for independence may also need that they would need freedom to follow their own path. The 6 could offer them that, as long as the 1 does offer the 6 some attentiveness and attention. The 1 has or the soul urge 1 is very independent and sometimes has the attitude that they don't need anyone else. But in reality, the 1s do need other people in their lives, but sometimes they tell themselves that they don't. They like to be independent and do things themselves, and they don't like really asking for help. The soul urge 1 also wants their relationship to be excited and varied. The 6 is more settled and stable and homely, so the 1 may struggle a little bit with the 6 not being so leery, maybe, as one, or exciting as the 1 would want them to be. But it's not to say that the 6 isn't a very social and warm person. They are. But they may or may not offer the excitement that the 1 may desire. The 1 likes space and they like independence for their own creativity, so they will need time out away from the 6, which is perfectly healthy, and the 6 would be able to accommodate that to a point. The 1 may feel a bit smothered and sometimes a bit judged by the 6, because the 6 is a very idealistic, perfectionistic soul urge. And the numbers most compatible with the 1 are, not surprisingly, the 1, the 4, the 8 and the 9, because the 1, the 4 and the 8 are very business orientated and task orientated. And the 9, well, they just get on with everyone. They're just amazing. Soul urge 9. The least compatible then with the soul urge 6 apparently is, not least compatible with the soul urge 6, least compatibility with the 1 is apparently the 6 and 7. And I can see where that might be the case, being as the 1 is very independent, task orientated, and the 6 is very homely and passionate and warm and emotional. I mean, you know, you can say that these two numbers are incompatible, but as I always say, if the 1 understands the 6 and the 6 understands the 1, and they can work together and they can compromise with each other with all these little isms that both these soul urges has, there is no reason why these two numbers cannot be compatible. They might just have to work a little bit harder at it. Right, the 6 and the 2. Now this is a good match. You know that the soul urge 6 is very emotional, very passionate. They want commitment. They want family. They want that emotional intimacy and passion and focus on the relationship. And the 2 can give them that, the 2 soul urge, because the 2 soul urge energy needs relationships more than any other number. They want connection. They want emotional intimacy. They're loyal. They're committed. They often put their own needs, their others' needs above their own. But the 6 does that too. So if both the 6 and the 2 both do too much for others or put others' needs above their own, then, you know, these two numbers could be very balanced together, unless the 6 starts to do too much and the 2 starts to sit back, or vice versa. But I can't see that happening with the 6 and the 2. I think they would be quite balanced and they would be quite equal and do equal amounts for each other. Boundaries are important for the 2. They can end up exhausted, but that's the same for the 6. The 6 and the 2 are very similar people. The difference is that the 6 is more idealistic and the 2 is more social, in that the 6 is very social too. So they could socialize together very well. They absorb the energy and feelings of others, the soul urge 2, just like the 6 does. So they would understand each other in that way. The soul urge 2 hates conflict and the 6 isn't very keen either. So they'll avoid conflict. So you can imagine the only snag there at the 6 and the 2 may not resolve their issues all the time. They might not talk things through. Sometimes they might not communicate very well about what they really feel because they're both avoiding conflict with each other. So watch out for that if you're a 6 and a 2 together. Then the 2 desperately needs and wants one-to-one relationships, but they can be quite possessive and jealous. The 2 may or may not, the 6 may or may not struggle with that because they love to be at home and secure anyway, and they love to be in a one-to-one relationship. So the 2 and the 6 both love family, they both love relationships, they both love emotional intimacy, they both rate relationships highly. Both have a tendency to do too much. They're just very similar people, and I think that the soul urge 6 and the 2 would do well together. Most people say that the 3, the 4 and the 9 is the most compatible with the 6. But if it was in my opinion, I would add the 2 in there too, because I don't see where there could be too much of an issue with the 6 and the 2, other than maybe sometimes they just don't deal with issues because they don't want conflict with each other. That's the only thing I could think of. Or they might get bored with each other because they are the same kind of person. So there's that possibility. Maybe that's the reason why most people don't think the 2 and the 6 are compatible. But again, you know, they're very similar people and there's no reason why they can't be good lovers and companions. 6 and the 3. Now, again, the 6 is apparently compatible with the 3, the 4 and the 9. But the 3, the thing is with the soul urge 3 is they can be very attentive, but they can also clutter off to do their own thing quite a lot. And their compatibility in relationships does depend very much on whether the other person in the relationship, the soul urge 6, shares their creative vision and their urge for spontaneity and fun. Now, the 6 is very creative, they're very aesthetic, they're very artistic. So there's every possibility that the 6 could share the 3's creative vision, especially if that's artistic and decorative and aesthetic, because the soul urge 6 does love art and aesthetics. And they would both share that urge for spontaneity and fun. They're both very social people and they would both very much love social events. So yeah, as long as they both share the same creative vision, we've got two big fat ticks so far. Unfortunately, sometimes though, the soul urge 3, they're like the 1. If the relationship gets not so exciting anymore, they can be tempted sometimes to go outside the relationship. Not all soul urge 3s do this, but because soul urge 3s just love excitement, sometimes they may be tempted to go outside the relationship. So maybe the 6 and the 3 need to work on keeping their relationship fresh and exciting. So the 3 as well can swing from attentiveness to self-absorption. So when the 3 is very attentive, the 6 will be lapping that up. The 6 will love that because they're very much into emotional intimacy and passion and emotion and love. But they would have to cope and be perfectly okay to hold the domestic fort when the 3 gets a little bit self-absorbed at times. And that is just what the soul urge 3 can be like. So that is something the 6 would have to be happy with and accept. And for the 3, they would have to be happy and accept the fact that the 6 is quite a home bird and not keep looking outside the relationship for more. The 3, yep, I've spoken about that. The 3 may feel a little bit smothered by the 6 at times, but both love to socialise to have fun. They must keep their relationship fresh and exciting if they want to keep the 3 interested. The numbers most compatible with the 3 soul urge are the 5, 6, 7 and 9. So most people agree, most numerologists agree that the 6 and 3 are a good match, especially if they share the same creative vision. Soul urge 6 and the 4. Now this is another good match. 2 people here wanting security and the security of the home and the security of the family. They both want the same things, the 6 and the 4. The snag I can see straight away is the 6 may want more emotional intimacy from the 4 than the 4 is able to give them. The 4 is not so emotionally intimate and may be a little bit more isolated, and the 6 will want to spend more time with them, and the 4 might be a little bit, I need some time to myself. But again, working together works for this. You know, if the 6 accepts that the 4 needs time away, and the 4 accepts that the 6 needs family time, no reason why this wouldn't be a big snag in the relationship. So the soul urge 4 will always be committed and loyal. That bodes well for the 6 because the 4 cares so deeply for the well-being of their family, just like the 6, and the community, just like the 6. For the soul urge 4, love is about strength and creating a safe and secure place to grow and develop. And the 6 is quite happy with that because the 6 wants the security and love and safety of the home. The 4 is very much a provider who will likely attract people who need to be supported. So the 4 can be vulnerable to be taken advantage of in relationships. But this is less likely with the 6 soul urge because they're not a number that really takes advantage of other people. But it could work out well if the 6 soul urge wants to be at home and the 4 soul urge wants to be out working, earning money to keep his home secure. It can be like a traditional relationship if you guys want to. And that's not to say that the 6 is the woman and the 4 is the man. No. Gender stereotyping I will not have. It could be that the man is the 6, the woman is the 4. And it might be that the man stays at home, takes care of the kids and does the house. And the woman goes out to work if she's a 4. Or they might split their time, you know. It's possible that this could work beautifully. But the 6 is not likely to take advantage of the 4 anyway. They're not that kind of person. They're very considerate and compassionate, and they care a huge amount about other people. But it is important for the 4 to always keep a balance and not give too much. But that, I could say the same for the 6, to be perfectly honest. They both invest very strongly in the relationship. They're both very committed. The 4 can be a bit controlling at times, so they'd have to be careful of that. The numbers most compatible with the 4 are the 1, the 6, the 8 and the 11. That says it all really, that the 6 and the 4 can be a good match. I can't really see much against the 6 and the 4. I think it might be one of the best ones for the 6 to be in a relationship with a 4, but I don't know what you guys think. Maybe there's some of you out there are a 6 and a 4. Tell me how your relationship goes on and whether there are downs that I haven't spoke about. But, you know, on the whole, I would put a 6 and a 4 together quite happily. 6 and the 5, not so much. Again, you know, I don't want to poo-poo the idea right from the beginning, because as I always say, if both parties understand each other fully and both parties are prepared to have some kind of compromise or split time, there is no reason why two soul urges like a 5 and a 6 cannot, it's not impossible. They can be okay, especially if you've got a mature soul urge 5 who really wants to start settling down. This could possibly work. But really, on the whole of it, the 5 soul urge finds commitment difficult, and that's exactly what the 6 wants, security and commitment. They can often quickly lose interest, the 5, and desire to move on to the next new thing. The soul urge needs a partner who allows them freedom at the end of the day, and 6 can allow them freedom, but they won't want to always be the one at home being left by the 5 on their own. There will be a boundary to that the 5 will have to compromise with. The confines of a relationship can sometimes prove too much for a 5, especially a 5 that isn't all that developed yet. A more developed 5 might be more inclined to compromise or look for that stable base, so that they can build the discipline they need to attain the ultimate freedom that they're looking for as a 5 soul urge. The 6 could really be the one to help the 5 to develop that stable base so that they can attain the discipline they need to attain freedom. Just a thought, you know, comes through on my intuition all the time, that, you know, they could work together quite well if they understand each other. If the 5 is honest about their needs and they want to commit, again, there's no reason why they can't be strong, and the 5 can, they help use the 6 to help them to create that freedom. And the 6, you know, they might quite like a little bit of the excitement from the 5 every now and then, as long as the 5 is committed to them. Normally, the 5 is not one for long-term commitment. They may not provide, they may never provide the intimacy that the 6 needs, so that needs to be guarded against. You need to make sure that if you are a 6, that you are with a very developed soul urge 5. The 6 may be a bit too much of a home bird for the 5. The 5 just wants to get out there and travel and have adventures, and they may feel a bit stifled and held back by the 6. A good relationship could blossom, as I said, but the 5's most compatible numbers really are the 3, the 5, the 7 and the 9, because the 3 and the 5 are very similar people. The 7 can get on with anyone really, as long as they're mentally stimulated, and the 9, like I said, just gets on with everyone. They're just amazing. And least compatible with the 5 would be the 2 and the 4, because the 2 wants security and emotional intimacy, and so does the 4. Well, the 4 wants security, not so much emotional intimacy, but they want commitment, and that's not something that the average soul urge 5 really wants to give. Soul urge 6 with the soul urge 6. Now, this can make for a very, very intense relationships, a 6 and a 6 together. Now, people don't normally put 2 6s together. They're not the least compatible, but they're certainly not put down as the most compatible. But in my view, 2 soul urge 6s together can make for a very intensely loving relationship. They're both romantic, they're both loving, they both understand each other very well. They both desire nothing more than a happy family life. They're both very committed, they're prepared to work hard in the relationship, and they both want a long-term relationship. I don't see the snag here quite yet, but they can hold, they can clash a little if they have different ideals. Remember, the 6 is very perfectionistic and very idealistic. So I could guess that maybe 2 6 wouldn't get on very well if they both had different or even opposing ideals on how the world should be. Then there could really be a storm, and then they wouldn't be compatible at all, because they would just clash in everything, and they would disagree at everything because they both got opposing opinions on what the world should be. Issues can arise regarding competition or disagreement, because they both want they're very much the same thing. They both want to do the same thing. They may even want to do the same chores. They might fight over who cooks. You never know. When you've got two similar people together, you do get that element of competition. Similar ideals could lead to fundamentalism as well. So if they both have really passionate and similar ideals that they can bounce off one another, this could slip into unhealthy fundamentalism if they're not careful. Or like I said, they have completely opposing ideals and they fight like cat and dog. But if they don't have opposing ideals and they're not going to come fundamentalists, they're both very committed. They're both very loving. They both want that happy family life. So again, even though they're not the worst or the most compatible, I don't see why the two soul urge sixes can't be very happy together. I don't know what you guys think. If you're in a relationship if you're a six and you're with another six, and you've experienced some problems that I haven't mentioned or some good things that I haven't mentioned, just let me know. Private message me or put something in the description box. The 6 and the 7. Now the 6, they love that attention. They love intimacy. They love the home. They like to be around people. So they'd like to be around their partner quite a lot. But the soul urge 7 really is only compatible with partners that understand them as a person. Now, close relationships can be a bit of a struggle for a soul urge 7 because emotional intimacy doesn't come all that naturally to them, which can be a bit of a snag for the soul urge 6 because the soul urge 6 wants emotional intimacy and they want to be close. And the 7, the 7 may not be able to offer that to them. Because the 7's need for solitude is actually quite high, and the 7 soul urge doesn't necessarily long for a partner in their long-term life. They may be quite blasé about whether or not they even want a partner in their life, and they can maybe treat their partner with that same blasé attitude at times, which can be quite heartbreaking for a soul urge 6 who wants nothing more than passion, emotion, and intimacy, and the 7 won't always offer that to them. Also, unless they've got similar interests, the 7 wants someone that they can talk to about their interests. So the 6 would have to be interested in the same subjects as the 7, for the 7 to be mentally stimulated by a 6. And that's not to say they think they're cleverer than the 6. Oh, no. It means they like to talk about their interests and their passions. And, if the 6 has those same interests and passions, then the 6 can be very mentally stimulating for the 7 because they're talking about things that they're both interested in. So that can be okay. The 6 is very social, so the 6 may find themselves going out to social events on their own quite a lot because the 7 won't always want to go. They prefer time on their own and they won't necessarily want the big social events. Sometimes they may go because the 7 is an extrovert. They do like to communicate with people. They just prefer time alone and they won't always be up for the party or the social event. And the 6 will have to cope with sometimes having to go with the social event on their own. But if that's acceptable, again, there's no reason why that can't be okay. Numbers most compatible with the 7 are the 4, the 5, the 7 and the 11. Least compatible, the 3, 6 and the 8. So most people say that the 6 and the 7 are not all that compatible. And from what I just said, you could possibly see why. But again, if you're a 6 and you're with a 7, or you're a 7 and you're with a 6 and it works amazingly, my God, let me know. Put it in the description box. Send me a message. I'd love to know. Soul urge 6 with the soul urge 8. Now, the soul urge 8's compatibility in relationships will depend very much on whether the soul urge 6 shares their vision to succeed in life and is able to offer the support and freedom for them to achieve that success. Say, for example, the 8 wants the success in business. The 8 will want the 6 to be of the support to them. So that could be maintaining their house or being there for them when they need it. and giving them the freedom they need to be able to get out there to achieve the success. And that's possible. A 6 could be happy with that. You know, they're happy to be to allow the 8 that freedom, but that will be only to a point. They will expect, want and need some time, some intimacy, some passion from the 8. But the 8 is, you know, they put their career first before their romantic relationship, which can be a bit of a niggle for the 6, because the 6 rates relationships really highly, and they may sometimes feel quite ignored by the 8. The 8 just wants success, they want power, they want abundance, they like to be organized, they like to be structured. And this could work if the 6 can support them in that way, like, you know, being the one that deals with the home. But, you know, you don't want to slip into roles that's too like traditional. But, you know, unless that works for you too, you know, the six soul urge could easily slip into traditional roles. But again, the 6 could be the man and the 8 could be the girl. I'm not talking about gender here. I'm talking about your soul urge number. So the 8 and the 6 can work well if the 6 supports the 8, and the 8 gives the 6 the love and the intimacy and the security that the 6 needs. Again, they could work. The numbers most compatible with the 8 are the 4, the 8, and the 22. So it doesn't necessarily say that the 6 is the most compatible with the 8, but it's not the least compatible either. So again, if the 8 can offer the 6 enough emotional intimacy and time with them and time at home with them, and the 6 can offer the 8 the freedom that they need to create that success that they need in their life, they could work together very, very, very well. Okay, so I don't know what you guys think, but these two numbers are not the least, but they're not the most compatible. I can see how they can work with the 6 supporting the 8, and the 8 supporting the 6 in the always making them feel secure and showing them that they're loved and not ignoring them. This would be an okay match. I think it's not the best match, but again, understand each other's needs, and there's no reason why the 6 and the 8 cannot be compatible. Now, the 6 and the 9 just gets on with everyone, the soul urge 9. They're compatible in most relationships. They're caring and compassionate, just like the 6. They have a lot of love to give, just like the 6. They're open to the needs of others. They're flexible. They're interesting company. The 9 can be a bit condescending at times, believing themselves to know better than what their partner knows. So they might eye roll the 6 every now and then, and the 6 might have to deal with a bit of a condescending behaviour from the 9. Just tell them off, The learning to be a listener for the 9 would be useful, because the 6 does like to talk and be emotionally intimate. So the 9 would need to learn to listen when the 6 wants to communicate or connect with them, and they're able to do that. It's just they need to be willing to be honest. The 9 could be taken for granted in the relationship, but so can a 6, so again, this could be quite balanced, because the 9 can be a bit of a fixer, but so can the 6. But if they're both balanced in that way, they can be quite equal, and they'll help each other quite equally. The 6 and the 9 are a very good match, in my opinion. They're both similar people. And I think that they could both be a very good partnership. The numbers most compatible with the 9 are indeed the 3, 6 and the 7. Least compatible, the 4 and the 8. So yeah, I'm not the only one that thinks the 6 and the 9 soul urge are a very good match. Very similar people. Soul urge 6 with the soul urge 11. Now, the 11 soul urge struggles a little bit in relationships. It's actually part of what they're here to deal with in life, is having a relationship, creating and maintaining a healthy relationship. So this can be a bit of a snag, because the 6 wants nothing more than a close relationship. But the soul urge's compatibility, the soul urge 11's compatibility in relationships depends very much on the ability of the 6 soul urge to allow or to cope with and have the patience for the 11's spiritual quest, which they will need time out to deal with, and they could be a bit self-absorbed with. One of the missions of the master number is to learn lesson relating to hold down a relationship. So sometimes the 11 may struggle to give the 6 the attention and the love and the companionship that the 6 wants, but the 11 wants that really, because they're very loving, quiet people anyway. The 11 soul urge wants close, intimate, loving relationships. They want friendly environments free of conflict, which bodes well for the 6, because they like a happy, strong home as well. The 6 soul urge will offer the soul urge 11 the intimacy, the connection and the commitment they desire. The 6 loves to create that tranquil home environment, and the 11 will love to go home to that creative, tranquil environment, calm, tranquil environment. But the 11 will require time out, and the 6 will need to be okay with this, because the 11 have got a lot to achieve. The 11 soul urge in this lifetime, they're not just here to create for themselves. They're here to create for the world. The 11 is most compatible with the 1, the 2 and the 22. So again, these numbers aren't the most compatible, but they're not the least compatible either. They're both very loving people. They both want emotional intimacy. If the 6 can cope with the 11's sometimes self-absorption and sometimes struggling with relationships, and the 11 can cope with the 6 being a bit possessive at times and being very loving and needing a lot from the relationship, then again, there's no reason why these two people cannot be together. So the 6 and the 22. Now the 22 compatibility in relationships depends on the soul urge 6's patience, care and ability to understand the 22's need for a secure foundation. Now the 6 wants security, so there's one tick, as well as the 22's need to be doing good in the world. Well, the 6 loves to do good for their community. The 22 is more far-reaching and maybe more worldly, but the 6 loves to help people. They love to help their community more, but they still have that same helpful, loving nature, and they would get on board if the 22 was doing good things for the world. I'm sure the 6 would be more than happy to get on board, even though the soul urge 6 is more community orientated. The soul urge 6 loves a secure, stable home, and that shares with the 22's need to do good and to have a stable home. So we're all good so far. But the 22's difficult soul urge, because 22's a master number, so there's a lot to achieve with that number. If you're a 22 soul urge number, there is a lot to achieve. So the 6 would have to allow the 22 the freedom to come away from the relationship, to do those special things that their soul urge wants them to do. The 6 can give the 22 the space they need, no problem, but to a point, as long as the 22 still gives the 6 the intimacy they need, and as long as the 22 is fully committed to them. The 22's most compatible matches are the 22, the 4, the 6, and another 22. So these two numbers are very compatible numbers, least compatible being the 3 and the 5, because the 3 and the 5 are less committed at the end of the day. So the 6 and the 22 can offer each other the commitment and the love and the companionship and the security that they both want. So this is potentially a very good relationship. But remember, 6, you will need to allow the 22 time to deal with that massive soul urge that they have to build, not just for themselves, but for the world. Okay. And building that business for the world could take them away from the intimacy of the relationship. So keep that in mind. Last but not least, the soul urge 6 with the soul urge 33. Well, the soul urge 6, if you notice that the 3 and the 3 adds up to a 6. So again, these two people are very similar. They're both very passionate. They're both very social. They're both very loving, both very emotional. So this could lead to some real banging arguments, just like the 6 and the 3. They could have some really harsh arguments as well, because they're both very emotional. To get the 9's very emotional as well, but definitely the 6 and the 33 are very emotional. But the soul urge, because they're a master number as well, and they're here as well to do something really important. So they swing from being highly attentive and loving to the soul urge 6, and to swinging towards needing their own space to create and verbalize what it is they need for the world. Which is fine for the soul urge 6, again, to a point, because the 6 will want a certain amount of emotional intimacy in their lives, and they won't like to be completely left out on a limb by the 33. There will need to be a balance between those two. The 33 is naturally empathetic, just like the 6, so they would understand each other quite well. They would read each other quite well. Both the 33 and the 6 are both loving, they're both passionate, they're both emotional, and they both love family. The 33 ultimately wants family, just like the 6. They'll both have a good emotional connection, which is perfect for the soul urge 6. They are a very good match, these two, as long as the 6 understands that the 33 has got a big soul urge to achieve, and they will need that time out and time away to achieve that. And the 33 will need the 6 to be that loving partner that is always there for them when they come home and put their arms out for a hug. So the 33 is most compatible with a 3 and a 4 and a 9, but I think they're very, very, very compatible with a 6 too. I mean, others haven't said that the 6 and the 3 are all that compatible. I mean, it says most numerologists say they're not the most, but they're not the least compatible. But I think they are very compatible. I guess the 33 has a massive energy to deal with, and the 6 will have to deal with that. But, you know, I see these two people having quite a good relationship, again, as long as they understand each other and they're prepared to compromise. Now, I hope I've got itchy nose again. Every so often I do a video and I sit here and my nose itches like mad. It's just started again. Good job it's the end of the video. So if you liked my compatibility video, please like my video. Please subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon so that you can be kept up to date with all my future content. If you'd like to email me, you can email me at katie@soulexplorer.net if you've got any private questions. If not, use the description box. My website is soulexplorer.net, where I have extra stuff about numerology that I'm still loading more stuff on, and my online shop for all my aloe vera wellbeing products. You might want to have a little look. And I'm going to put in the description box the links to all my social media: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn and Twitter. I'm also going to put my core numbers video in. And what else did I say I put in? I think that's it. Okay, so I'm going to go off now and get my next video all done. So as ever, guys, trust the soul within you. Your intuition always knows best. Love you lots.